Welcome to Jersey Reads the Classics, an audiobook podcast delving into the finest works of our literary masters. Unfortunately, it's read by this woman.
What the hell? Who cares? Let's go on an adventure.
Hello, and welcome back to Jersey Reads the Classics with me, your host, Rosa D. Candia. Welcome back, my friends. Well, my friends, I may look a little different to you because, yes, I've gotten my hair dyed. Yes, it had been 6 months since I had gotten my hair done, and obviously because we were in quarantine and isolation and all that good stuff, then my salon reopened and it took a while to get an appointment with my amazing colorist. And yes, it's definitely a blonde with some pink because I had always wanted pink hair, and I figured right now nothing's really happening and going on, so I was like, why not freaking do your hair pink, because it brings you joy. So yeah, I got a new haircut, which is a month and a half ago. I got some hair dye and I feel great. And now, you know what? Enough about me. Let's proceed, because I know you didn't come here to see me. Well, all one of you or none of you. Let's proceed to our book, The Wonderful Wizard of Oz by L. Frank Baum. And now we proceed to Chapter 8, The Deadly Poppy Field. Ooh. Our little party of travelers awakened the next morning refreshed and full of hope, and Dorothy breakfasted like a princess off peaches and plums from the trees beside the river. Behind them was the dark forest they had passed safely through, although they had suffered many discouragements. But before them was a lovely sunny country that seemed to beckon them on to the Emerald City. To be sure, the broad river now cut them off from this beautiful land, but the raft was nearly done, and after the Tin Woodman had cut a few more logs and fastened them together with wooden pins, they were ready to start. Dorothy sat down in the middle of the raft and held Toto in her arms. When the Cowardly Lion stepped upon the raft, it tipped badly, for he was big and heavy. Hello, he's a big frickin' lion. But the Scarecrow and the Tin Woodman stood upon the other end to steady it, and they had long poles in their hands to push the raft through the water. Look at them, they're so ingenious. You know what they say, necessity is the mother of invention, and thanks to the Tin Woodman, who stayed up all night, well, he doesn't sleep, crafting this beautiful raft. All right, they got along quite well at first, but when they reached the middle of the river, the swift current swept the raft downstream, farther and farther away from the road of the yellow brick. And the water grew so deep that the long poles would not touch the bottom. Here we go again. A wonderful little group of travelers are shit out of luck. Let's see what's going to happen on this. You know, just like life, always facing adversity and challenges, but let's see what happens. This is bad, said the Tin Woodman. For if we cannot get to the land, we shall be carried into the country of the Wicked Witch of the West, and she will enchant us and make us her slaves. And then I should get no brains, said the Scarecrow. And I should get no courage, said the Cowardly Lion. And I should get no heart, said the Tin Woodman. And I should never get back to Kansas, said Dorothy. You worrying about all that shit? Would you want to be slaves to some bitch? Anyway, we must certainly get to the Emerald City if we can, the Scarecrow continued. And he pushed so hard on his long pole that it stuck fast in the mud at the bottom of the river. Then, before he could pull it out again or let go, the raft was swept away, and the poor Scarecrow was left clinging to the pole in the middle of the river. Are you kidding me? This motherfucker is stuck on a pole again? Oh my God, this guy should be a pole dancer at this point. I mean, he can make money doing it, whatever. Goodbye, he called after them, and they were very sorry to leave him. Indeed, the Tin Woodman began to cry, but fortunately remembered that he might rust, and so dried his tears on Dorothy's apron. Of course, this was a bad thing for the Scarecrow. I am now worse off than when I first met Dorothy, he thought. Then I was stuck on a pole in a cornfield, where I could make believe scare the crows, at any rate. But surely there is no use for a Scarecrow stuck on a pole in the middle of a river. I am afraid I shall never have any brains after all. This poor guy, he's now blaming Dorothy because he's like, well, now I'm shit out of luck because of Dorothy. No, you're not. You're taking the adventure of a lifetime. I mean, really, you'd be bored in the cornfield, trust me. But this poor guy, I mean, he's got a thing for poles. It's like you just can't escape it. All right. Down the stream the raft floated, and the poor Scarecrow was left far behind. Then the lion said, "Something must be done to save us. I think I can swim to the shore and pull the raft after me if you will only hold fast to the tip of my tail." So he sprang into the water, and the Tin Woodman caught fast hold of his tail. Then the lion began to swim with all his might toward the shore. It was hard work, although he was so big, but by and by they were drawn out of the current, and then Dorothy took the Tin Woodman's long pole and helped push the raft to the land. Look at this. Talk about good teamwork. That lion, he got some brains, and he's very courageous. I mean, he's like, fuck it, people. I've gone over ditches. I can swim through this current, and he's doing it. Good Lord, I was wondering if Dorothy was going to do anything. At least she did something with the pole. All right. They were all tired out when they reached the shore at last and stepped upon the pretty green grass. And they also knew that the stream had carried them a long way past the road of yellow brick that led to the Emerald City. "What shall we do now?" asked the Tin Woodman, as the lion lay down in the grass to let the sun dry him. "We must get back to the road in some way," said Dorothy. Well, thanks, Dorothy, for your 2 cents. Einstein, you are not. "The best plan will be to walk along the river bank until we come to the road again," remarked the lion. So, when they were rested, Dorothy picked up her basket and they started along the grassy bank to the road from which the river had carried them. It was a lovely country with plenty of flowers and fruit trees and sunshine to cheer them, and had they not felt so sorry for the poor Scarecrow, they could have been very happy. Yeah, you feel sorry for his ass, but what you gonna do about it? I mean, I guess there's nothing they can do because they can't send the raft back. I mean, the lion couldn't. No, I was thinking maybe the lion could have swam to him and then ran him across, but I forget he's straw, get all wet. I don't know. But now that poor Scarecrow is still got no brains and he's stuck on a pole. Ugh. They walked along as fast as they could, Dorothy only stopping once to pick a beautiful flower. And after a time, the Tin Woodman cried out, "Look!" Then they all looked at the river and saw the Scarecrow perched upon his pole in the middle of the water, looking very lonely and sad. "Oh, what can we do to save him?" asked Dorothy. The lion and the woodman both shook their heads, for they did not know. So they sat upon the bank and gazed wistfully at the Scarecrow until a stork flew by, who, upon seeing them, stopped to rest at the water's edge. "Who are you, and where were you going?" asked the stork. "Okay, another person. We got an animal that talks. The stork talks. But Toto does not, yet still." "I am Dorothy," answered the girl, "and these are my friends, the Tin Woodman and the Cowardly Lion, and we are going to the Emerald City." "This isn't the road," said the stork, as she twisted her long neck and looked sharply at the queer party. "I know it," returned Dorothy, "but we have lost the Scarecrow and are wondering how we shall get to him again." "Where is he?" asked the stork. "Over there in the river," answered the little girl. "Take me to the river." Isn't that funny? The stork is like, yo, you were on the wrong frickin' road. I feel like the stork is just like these birds in a lot of these books like Alice in Wonderland and Peter Pan. They're pretty snippy, but they're funny because they tell it like it is. I think I'd be the stork in this story. Well, I'd actually be the Wicked Witch, but that's another story. "If he wasn't so big and heavy, I would get him for you," remarked the stork. "He isn't heavy a bit," said Dorothy eagerly, "for he is stuffed with straw, and if you will bring him back to us, we shall thank you ever and ever so much." The stork is like, what do I give a shit? But anyway, let's hear. Well, I'll try," said the stork. "But if I find he is too heavy to carry, I shall have to drop him in the river again." Oh, this poor Scarecrow. This poor guy's life is hanging, not by a thread, hanging on a pole, and everybody's discussing this poor guy, and I can't believe he's just standing in the river on a pole. Okay. So the big bird flew into the air and over the water till she came to where the Scarecrow was perched upon his pole. Then the stork with her great claws grabbed the Scarecrow by the arm and carried him up into the air and back to the bank where Dorothy and the lion and the Tin Woodman and Toto were sitting. When the Scarecrow found himself among his friends again, he was so happy that he hugged them all, even the lion and Toto. And as they walked along, he sang, "Totally-dee-dee-do." At every step he felt so gay. I was afraid I should have to stay in the river forever, he said, but the kind stork saved me, and if I ever get any brains, I shall find the stork again and do her some kindness in return. That's all right, said the stork, who was flying along beside them. I always like to help anyone in trouble. But I must go now, for my babies are waiting in the nest for me. I hope you will find the Emerald City, and that Oz will help you. Oh, here we go. You see the stork once again. A bird. Remember not Alice in Wonderland, and Peter Pan, the little never bird helped Peter, right? And she had babies in the nest, and she was forgoing her babies to help Peter. The stork has babies somewhere else, and the stork gave up some of her time to help them. Even though these birds can be a little snippy, they're very motherly. You know what it is? They're like the motherly figure. They tell it like it is, but they're still there to help you. Lend a helping wing. We're living on a prayer, take my wing. Okay. Thank you, replied Dorothy, and then the kind stork flew into the air and was soon out of sight. They walked along, listening to the singing of the brightly colored birds and looking at the lovely flowers, which now became so thick that the ground was carpeted with them. There were big yellow and white and blue and purple blossoms, besides great clusters of scarlet poppies, which were so brilliant in color they almost dazzled Dorothy's eyes. Aren't they beautiful? The girl asked as she breathed in the spicy scent of the bright flowers. That's a beautiful statement, as she breathed in the spicy scent of the beautiful flowers. Look at you, L. Frank Baum. What does the L stand for? I can't believe I haven't done any backstory on this author. Maybe I should do an episode on these authors and a little bit about them. But are they that interesting? I don't know. But then again, there was, what's his name, Oscar Wilde. He was an interesting dude. I suppose so, answered the Scarecrow. When I have brains, I shall probably like them better. If only I had a heart, I should love them, added the Tin Woodman. I always did like flowers, said the Lion. They seem so helpless and frail, but there are none in the forest so bright as these. They now came upon more and more of the big scarlet poppies and fewer of the other flowers, and soon they found themselves in the middle of a great meadow of poppies. Now, it is well known that when there are many of these flowers together, their odor is so powerful that anyone who breathes it falls asleep. And if the sleeper is not carried away from the scent of the flowers, he sleeps on and on forever. Oh shit, death by flowers. You see, sometimes beautiful things can kill you. All right. But Dorothy did not know this, nor could she get away from the bright red flowers that were everywhere about. So presently her eyes grew heavy, and she felt she must sit down to rest and to sleep. But the Tin Woodman would not let her do this. We must hurry and get back to the road of yellow brick before dark, he said, and the Scarecrow agreed with him. So they kept walking until Dorothy could stand no longer. Her eyes closed in spite of herself, and she forgot where she was and fell among the poppies, fast asleep. What shall we do? Asked the Tin Woodman. If we leave her here, she will die, said the Lion. The smell of the flowers is killing us all. I myself can scarcely keep my eyes open, and the dog is asleep already. It was true. Toto had fallen down beside his little mistress, but the Scarecrow and the Tin Woodman, not being made of flesh, were not troubled by the scent of the flowers. You see, it was good that they are not people, because they'd all be shit out of luck and all be falling asleep. So thank God the Tin Woodman and the Scarecrow, they're very useful. She's surrounded herself with very useful friends. I like that. Poor Toto. Still can't talk, and now he's fast asleep. Of course he's fast asleep because he's so tiny. Anyway, here we go. Okay. Run fast, said the Scarecrow to the Lion, and get out of this deadly flower bed as soon as you can. We will bring the little girl with us, but if you should fall asleep, you are too big to be carried. So the Lion aroused himself and bounded forward as fast as he could. In a moment, he was out of sight. Let us make a chair with our hands and carry her, said the Scarecrow. So they picked up Toto and put the dog in Dorothy's lap, and then they made a chair with their hands for the seat and their arms for the arms, and carried the sleeping girl between them around the flowers. Look at them. They are so resourceful. They're smart, These two together, what can I tell you? They have a good team. On and on they walked, and it seemed that the great carpet of dead leaf flowers that surrounded them would never end. They followed the bend of the river, and at last came upon their friend the lion, lying fast asleep among the poppies. The flowers had been too strong for the huge beast, and he had given up at last and fallen only a short distance from the end of the poppy bed, where the sweet grass spread in beautiful green fields before them. Ain't that a bitch? He gets almost to the end, and what happens? He falls asleep right before the grass. That's all I gotta say. These kids face a lot of adversity, but remember, it is in the valley that you grow through these challenges. Who are they becoming? That's all I'm gonna say. It's all I'm gonna say. We can do nothing for him, said the Tin Woodman sadly, for he is much too heavy to lift. We must leave him here to sleep on forever, and perhaps he will dream that he has found courage at last. Oh, I'm sorry, said the Scarecrow. The lion was a very good comrade for one so cowardly. But let us go on. They carried the sleeping girl to a pretty spot beside the river, far enough from the poppy field to prevent her breathing any more of the poison of the flowers. And here they laid her gently on the soft grass and waited for the fresh breeze to waken her. Oh, good lordy, good lordy, good lordy, is all I got to say. Man, these kids, it's just you know what? This is the story of life, right? Just when you think you're moving ahead, something comes upon you, bites you in the ass, and you're either hanging out in the middle of the river with a pole up your back or your ass, or you fell asleep right before, you zonked out right before you get to your goal. But that's the point of life, which leads me to the point of life. Well, this is the thing. I'm going to say the fact that the stork came and helped them. All right, people, I keep saying this and I'm going to say it again. They're just moving along and grooving along, and they lost their comrade to the river, and they were like, oh, this sucks. We like the Scarecrow. This really blows. And instead of being like, what are we going to do? They just sat and looked at him, and suddenly out of the blue, a stork comes in and says, I can help you. And they're like, can you? And he's like, well, and he does, she does. And the beautiful thing is this. Life is going to throw you curveballs all the time. That's just a fact. We cannot control that, but it's like your reaction. Now, they could have gotten all fakakta and frazzled and been like, what do we do? What do we do? And crying, whatever. Yeah, they lamented over it and they looked at him, but they kind of just were like, it sucks, but what are we going to do? And suddenly, in this surrendering of it and not getting all crazed about it, the universe sends them a stork just in time. And the stork just says, I'm going to go get this mofo for you. And it's kind of like your life. Have you ever noticed, we've discussed this, when you've been somewhere, like you are like really at, you're in the middle of a river with a pole, all right? Maybe you don't even have the pole. You know, when they say you're like, you know, what is that, up Schitt's Creek? Right, you're up Schitt's Creek. But suddenly, when you just throw your hands up, and I've talked about this, and surrender, and just like, all right, this is what it is. I can't control it. And you just say, you know what? It is what it is. The help swoops in. The stork swoops in and helps you along without you even noticing it. And I think it's important to notate that, you know, once again, the universe has always got our back. And sometimes it's a hard lesson to remind myself of every day. You know, I think for all of us, I keep harping on it because especially right now with what the world is going through, we're all feeling like, oh my God, what is life going to be like? What is life like? And the thing is, we can't control all this shit that's happening. COVID-19 is doing a number on the world. It's something that there's nothing that we can do about it as humans except be smart about where we go, don't congregate in groups, and put on a mask. But what I will say is this, it's a huge challenge. It's a huge obstacle for everybody. And I get it. Some people are like, well, Rosie, you know, I don't have money, and that's a challenge. But I will say this, if we sit in the process and surrender and say, okay, I can't control the situation, I know that there is going to be some provision for me. There will be for all of us. And I think when we get caught up in a situation that we get so stressed over something, what happens is that stress makes the situation 10 times worse. And then we can't think clearly. we can't be open to something inspirational to help us get out of the bind that we're in. Now you're saying to me, but if I need money, I gotta pay my bills. I get it, but this could be a time that you accepting the situation that is, but yet you get an inspirational thought to start something online, something that you can do from home. Or what happens, you've changed your energy to a place of, okay, I'm going to trust that something is coming to me. And then all of a sudden, a job you applied for months ago wants to hire you to work from home, or an opportunity arises that you never thought possible, because it's about changing your mindset and your frequency and the vibration of where you're at. Now, I'm not trying to belittle the situation we're in, because this is no joke. And that's the point. This is no joke. But there is no joke in life. Like, these kids are on a journey. It's a book about this little girl who's in a foreign land, who just wants to get home. And the thing is this, that's no joke to her. We all got something that we're dealing with. And it's kind of like, how resilient, how persistent are you? And that's another thing. It's like your persistence. There is nothing stopping from this group from getting to where they need to be. They've all obviously, we've talked about this, they've attracted each other. They're all aspects of Dorothy, but she wants to get home. Home is where the heart is, right? She needs to get home. And it's like you with your goals. It's like you with your vision. You know what it is, but you're going to face challenges, because that's what life's about. I mean, you didn't come here to have a rosy life. None of us did. We've come here to grow and evolve and become a better person, a better human being. And the way we do that is challenges. There's growth. We've got to step out of our comfort zone. First of all, you wouldn't even know if life was great if everything was rosy all the time. You'd be like, this is boring existence. You would just be like, okay. But it's those moments where we're on the roller coaster of life, not knowing what's coming. And I think for most of us, we sit in a place of, ho-hum, this is my life right now. And what is it going to look like? Instead of the ho-hum, take it as, okay, this is what it is today, but I don't know what it's going to look like in 6 months. I don't know what it's going to look like in a year from now, because the beauty of life is the not knowingness of it. And you don't control everything that happens. I say that 50,000 times, because when you accept that you do not control anything, the only thing you control is your reaction to shit and what you put out there, you will honestly find more peace and serenity in your life. Because then when anything comes to like face a challenge and stick you in the middle of a river, or have you fall asleep in the poppy field, where you think you're flat out, you'll say, you know what? I don't control this shit. It's happening for a reason. I'm going to grow from it. And what can I glean from the situation? And that's what we're doing with each one of these chapters in these books. That's the point of me doing this show. It's to use each one of these chapters that you're like, well, these are tales in a book. People have faced worse, my friends. There's been World War I, World War II. There's been so many wars. I mean, people have faced worse. Well, there was the Spanish flu 100 years ago. And no one is making little of this. But at this point, we don't control all this crap that's happening to us, but we can say, I surrender to the fact that I control nothing. But what I can do right here, right now, is plant seeds and control the thoughts that I'm thinking, and control the things that I put out there. Whether it is resumes, reaching out to people that maybe you think may have a job for you, or someone that may contact, that's the thing. We don't even know the seeds we've planted, or the seeds that we're planting now, what's going to come to fruition. So I would just encourage you to think about how you can change your daily thoughts if you're not staying in a place of positivity. And I'm not saying it's easy. It's not. You think I'm not dealing with my own crap? I am. I'm a 50-year-old woman that is reading to what? Maybe one person right now. I do the podcast. I think more people are listening to that. But the point is this, I'm doing it because I love doing this, all right? So I feel inspired to do it. And secondly, I'm planting seeds. Whatever's going on during quarantine, I'm doing this, and I'm planting seeds of positivity, not just for y'all out there, or for the one person who's watching it, or for no one who's watching it, but for myself. And the thing is this, I don't know what's going to happen in 6 months or a year in my life, but I know that right now, I am planting whatever I can that's positive, and putting forth out there the things that I can to showcase the best of what I am, and to at least put positive vibes out there. Because I'm not in control of anything else. I control my reaction and what I put out there. And yes, this has not been an easy time. It is like what we're going through is like going to see the Wizard of Oz. It's trying to get back home. I know a lot of people want to get back to normal, and I don't think our normal was really a good normal. However, right now, we have to wear masks and it's going to be a few more months of this. And you know what? Instead of fighting the current, go along with the current and start putting seeds and putting things out there that are positive. Let's be kind, let's be loving, and let's be compassionate to one another. I know I'm going off on a tangent, but I think that's really important. And I think the thing is with this story is they are still finding compassion for one another. They have each other's backs. They're facing adversity, but they're not turning out to be assholes. They're actually supporting each other. And then all of a sudden the universe sends in the stork and sends in this one. And okay, the lion is sleeping now in the poppy field. Well, we can't control that, and they know that. So they're just like, but they told them ahead of time, they're like, we're not going to be able to carry you. We're just giving you an FYI. Remember what the good witch said and everybody else has been telling them. Going to Oz. Oz is a beautiful little part of the country, and the country's beautiful, but it's also, there's some darkness there. It's a tough journey. So my friends, you came here. The journey may not be easy. It is not, but it's who are you becoming? Who are you becoming throughout all this time? And what are you doing with the situation that you're facing right now? So I'm going to encourage you to think about that. What is going on around you? How are you reacting? And what seeds are you planting? And I'm just going to encourage you, if you're not planting seeds that are the seeds you want to come to fruition, think about what you do want to plant. And remember, your actions and thoughts today, they're the things that come to fruition in 6 months, a year, 2 years. Trust me. Thoughts become things. I'm living proof of a lot of things that have happened in the past 10 years because of thoughts becoming things. And I will say this, you are not seeing it right now because your thoughts have put you here, or obviously the situation you can't control, COVID-19, has put us all in the same situation of feeling stagnant, feeling like our life is just hanging in, we're just there, hanging in purgatory. But the thing is this, while you are here, and you can't control what's going on outside of you, what are the things you're planting? You control your thoughts and you control the actions you set forth for yourself. All right, my friends. I don't know. That got very deep, very heavy, and oi is all I got to say. So I'm just going to encourage you to start thinking about the things you choose to plant right now and to start surrendering to things that you don't control. Because literally, once you let go of any of that thing that you control, all this stuff around you. And this is what I think this is teaching all of us. We control nothing but our reactions and what we put out there. So what are you putting out there? And how are you reacting? Okay, my friends. Well, I'm wishing you a blessed day. And I know it got deep. Well, it always gets deep. But just know that I'm doing the journey with you. I'm on the journey with you. It's not like I'm coming from this big mansion, having tons of money. I'm not exactly where I thought I'd be at 50 years old. But I'm working with what I got, and I stay focused and positive and happy and grateful for the things that I do got, and then don't focus on the things I don't got. Because you know what? I'm looking for my big tree to come in one day and beautiful fruit like the peaches and the plums that Dorothy was feasting on. All right, friends, you stay beautiful, you stay blessed, you stay in a place of knowingness and surrender all the stuff that no longer serves you. Surrender everything. Just, and accept what is and not what could be, and start embracing the journey and start looking within and start planting seeds and doing the things that you want to do, that you want to come to fruition. And even though there may be things that you physically can't do due to COVID-19, there are things that you can start. We talked about this, coming up with a game plan and start thinking and start visualizing it, because your thoughts do become things. It is true. So what are you thinking? All right, I might have said it before. All right, my friends, stay beautiful, stay blessed, and I'll talk to you soon. Au revoir. Arrivederci. Ci vediamo. Adios, amigos.